Hey, thank you for listening and watching to the Ultra Perform Show, the show about performing your best in business and life. I have my very special guest, my friend and a mentor of mine, amazing guy. We've been chatting before we started the show, Dr. Jeffery Magee. Dr. Jeffery Magee, thanks for being on the show today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. You asked, I'm here. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. You live your own message here as well. So it's great for the viewers and listeners to step in and listen to some conversation.
Thank you. One thing I wanted to ask you as we get started is, why do you do all these things that you do? 30 books, 31 books, right? We
31.
just said that. I thought it was 60. So you need to hurry up now. I'm still
Nice
working
goal.
on
I love you.
my first one that I've been working on for years. Like when I talked to you the other day, I'm like, this guy is, you want to put 4 out this year? You already put 2? Is that correct?
Yeah.
I've been telling people that, and they're like, huh, right? It makes people really think. Why do you do all these things? Why do you perform, as we say in the show, ultra perform so much?
Yeah, it's about legacy. I make the comment, I've shared it from stages all over the world. No one has any guarantee that tomorrow's going to arrive. So that what do you do to maximize today? What do you do to maximize today from the perspective of making your space a little bit better or significantly better than it was when you woke up? What do you do to plus the people around you? Sometimes that might mean a little tough love. And that's something that a lot of people on the planet don't like any critical conversation today. They want all warm fuzzies and, let the BS fly, as they say. It's about legacy.
Why do you feel like tough love is necessary and you can't just be all, what did you call it? All fuzzies?
All fuzzy. I think sometimes, it's a great question. I think sometimes people have never really had critical conversation. Critical conversation is not the same as being mean, rude, and disrespectful. There's a lot of that crap.
Mm-hmm.
But I think some people have not really had the experience of someone who knows what they're talking about on a topic, because I don't know everything. You don't know everything. No one knows everything. But some people might try to say they do.
True,
But,
true.
What do where do you seek out your advisor, your coach, your counselor, your performance coach that can help you in any given space? And sometimes we are our own biggest enemy. We are either self-absorbed or we are basing a decision based upon facts as we see them. And sometimes those facts are not facts at all. What we've created in the past decade, and COVID just accelerated it, is that everyone with a mouth thinks they're a podcaster, and everyone with a fingertip thinks they're a blogger and they're an expert on something. And truth be told, for a lot of people, they haven't even had a job, any job, long enough to even begin to comprehend the tasks and duties and responsibilities and nuances of what it looks like to do the job, yet they want to be the expert and give advice. And sometimes in there, to your question, you need someone that has the stern voice that can stand in, step up, and be the voice of reasoning and give you the facts that are the real facts. Today, we have a tremendous number of people, Adam, that are operating as an adult with very limited education. But to say that sounds offensive. I mean, education is different
It does
than taking data in because you've been influenced by influencers and you got rhetoric that feeds your own narrative.
Scrolling everything, Instagram, Facebook. Yep. Oh, it was on here. It must be real, right? I do that.
The lack of common sense. I see some of these protests around North America in the last several years. And it just sometimes boggles my mind that people are protesting a topic and then they direct all their negative angst and energy towards a person, an institution that is actually the person institution that has made it possible for them to be alive, yet they're complaining about that person institution as if they're the bad person. It's like just complete lack of knowledge. And then it goes back to there's no one to hold anyone accountable. We have, I'll stop. I'll go off in a wrong.
Oh, no, you're the perfect guest. You always want the guest to do all the talking. Because then there's something to say. Tell us about your book then, the book we were just talking about, Triangle of Excellence.
So my 2 latest books, one is Your Trajectory Code, the only personal success book I've written out of 31. And then my most recent book, as we're recording and talking and sharing this live right now, is called Changeformational. In both of those books, there's a concept called the triangle of excellence. And it really is how I look at an individual when I'm doing, advisory work with the military or with, startup businesses or major billion-dollar corporations I work with. I would use this diagram of a triangle if I'm doing one-on-one coaching. So to our viewers and listeners right now, or whoever watches this in the future from a pre-recorded archived perspective, if you think of a triangle, there's three sides. Inside it, put your name. And this is how I would coach. In essence, if you and I were having a private conversation and our viewers right now just kind of like nosing in and listening over our shoulders, I'd draw a triangle, put Adam inside, and I'd say that basically your entire life is based on
wait. I'm the center of all this?
You are the center of everything, baby.
I'm the center of everything. Okay, go ahead.
You finally have arrived. So, I tell people draw a triangle, put your employee's name in the middle, or put yourself's name in the middle. If you're a parent, put your child's name in the middle. If you're mentoring someone, put your mentee's name in the middle of that triangle. So if we put Adam in this one, then basically Adam is based upon three sides. One of the vertical sides, I don't even care which way you go. One is called aptitude. So from birth to whatever your age is today, if I was your coach, I'd want to ascertain and find out what's the totality of your aptitude, knowledge, skills, abilities, formal or informal education, technical, non-technical education, certifications, degrees. I mean, any way you want to look at knowledge, but aptitude. Once I know the totality of your aptitude, then that's, kind of giving you a framework by which to know how to go left, right, forward, or backwards. Then the other vertical is going to be application. Then I want to find out from birth to whatever your age is, application. What all have you done? What all have you actually accomplished? And this is important. I'm right now, having some conversations with some very high-ranking military people as they're trying to unbundle some of the nightmarish problems that they're having. And it's different. If Adam actually accomplished something on your own, that would be application, and it would be application of your aptitude. And if you did a lot of it, then the bottom of the triangle is the word attitude. You have application, aptitude, and attitude. So your attitude is what drives you to do the things you do, to believe in yourself, have self-discipline, have self-etiquette, have in essence self-integrity, all of those sort of components. Now, if you're on a team though, see, here's the problem we have in society. And the military right now is grappling with this because it's very unpopular conversation. And this happens in corporate America as well, happens in boardrooms. So if Adam's a part of a team and you did mediocre work, but your teammates covered your butt and did great work, and at the end of the day, the team gets some sort of an accolade or an award or recognition, well, by default, Adam, you're going to get part of that as well. Yeah, and so now when it comes time for your performance review, because no one held you really accountable and gave you some good feedback, they score you at average. There's no way you can ever get fired because you got all of these awards for excellence, which actually your teammates got, but you were part of the team. Mm-hmm. And you really never really strived, applied, or achieved anything, but you were able to just skate by. Mm-hmm. And we have that in business. We have that in politics. Think of the number of people we elect. Sometimes I look at people in Congress and I shake my head thinking, are you kidding me? That's the best person in your zip code to represent you? How pathetic must your entire zip code be? Because you got people sometimes, I use this triangle of excellence to put a congressperson's name in or senator and say, okay, what all they accomplished in life? That's application. It's not very impressive. What all do they really know? Aptitude, not very impressive. Where's their attitude? Oh, they know everything. I mean, they top right over you. So this triangle of excellence is huge. If you want to grow someone, I come back to Adam and I'd say, okay, so what are your goals? Once I know what Adam's goals are, and I have an idea of what your aptitude and applications have been, I can help to coach and guide you to excellence. If you have a goal and you lack some of the aptitude, I'll know exactly what aptitude you need to go get, whether it's a skill or a certification, or et cetera. So triangle of excellence is huge. If you would use it to interview and hire people, it would fast track a ton of interviews. If you were to look at the people that are in your sphere of influence, it would dramatically change up how you would engage your sphere of influence to hold you more accountable, how you can hold them accountable, and how you can recognize who you need to jettison out of your sphere of influence because they're nothing more than just, in essence, terrorists or detractors to reality. And we have made it convenient in our society for a lot of people to be very minimalist participants, yet they have an expectation of all of the accolades and awards that, in essence, someone got off their ass, to be blunt, and did. For example, let's take you to your viewers. I mean, you are in an island in and of yourself. Every day you get up and either make something happen yourself or you don't. You don't have a family to lean back on. You don't have brothers and sisters to lean back on. You don't have a spouse and spouse's income to lean on. So whether or not you're working,
thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, I'm just helping you out because that's what makes you a rock star, though, because you are doing it on your own. I mean, think about all the other people out there that they have all of this. They're insulated by having all of these safety belts around them, and they don't stand up and say, "Let me leverage that." Then let me go out and be even more of a contributor to your original question. What drives me? What drives me is to help other people to be the most powerful person they can be daily, in whether it's in business or on their own. But there's so much noise out there, so much garbage out there, so many people that have embellished their life and resume that you could give them a Post-it note and they'd have space left over to write down their life story.
Yeah, because it's small, right?
You got it.
Just to point out, on a big Post-it, not one of those ones you do for a speaking engagement.
Exactly. There's so many takers on the planet and very few contributors. Matter of fact, Gallup organization has some research recently, and I made kind of a reference on LinkedIn, and I don't post about social and things on LinkedIn. That's too easy. It's always about leadership and sales where I live and where I have lived for decades. But there was a note about, Gallup did a survey, and they found roughly 72% of Americans are complacent, disengaged, and just going through the flow, which means 29% of America is paying the bills and doing all the work. And someone, jumped back and, had something negative to say about the 72. And I said, no, you missed it. People are complacent because either they haven't been engaged by great people that have lifted them up and held them up and hold them accountable to be up, or they were pushed down and beat down and they don't know a pathway to get up. So that's kind of a constructive, positive statement about, again, a lot of those people. But a lot of people have learned, and our government's not helping. I mean, a lot of people have learned, you can make a commitment, but it's okay because mom and dad will pay the bills. The government will pay the bills. I can sign my name and say, I'm going to do this for you, but I don't really have to show up because someone's always going to, cover my butt. And that actually is a major cancer in businesses, organizations, and families and neighborhoods in our society that again, people don't understand. You may not look left and right to see the damage it's creating, but you're going to be the one that's going to be having to pay the bills in the coming days, weeks, months, and decades. Not me, you.
You're talking about young people.
And old, but young. We're not doing young people any service by not letting some of them crash and burn and rub their face into the ground and get it scuffed up and learn some things.
Sure.
You can't helicopter pilot and parent, everyone. You can't have an excuse forever for someone else's behavior, bad behavior. I was watching a judge the other day in a conversation, and she had a young person in her court that had basically been in and out of court a ton and had broken the law a ton, and they had given him tons of second chances because, he's young. And she finally said, no, you're taking advantage of the system. So when she got done adding it up, it's like you're spending the next 25 years in prison. So I hope while you're in prison, you take the opportunity to get an education, get a skill, and you can tell the person's face was stunned that they're being held accountable. Well, that's part of our problem. Yeah. Everyone wants to hold that person over there accountable, but they don't want to look at the other person. They don't want to hold that person accountable, but they don't want to look in the mirror. That's a part of our issue. Again, you can't be an ultra performer and live with excuses. The ultra performers, as a matter of fact, have no excuses. They own it.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I've seen that where sometimes I'll bootstrap or do something to get to a point, and it seems to cause more jealousy than I expect. I never talked to you about that on or off. I don't know if I should broach that subject now, but I'll notice a jealousy come up, and I'm like, I'm just doing my thing. You could do it too, but they get angry that you're doing it.
See, here's the issue, Adam. You just nailed it. One of Jeff Magee's classic lines. Right. It is amazing to see the line of people that are envious and jealous of someone else's accomplishments. I've never seen the line of people, though, envious and jealous of the work it took to get to that destination that everyone wants a piece of. Again, some people make more money because of the risk attached to getting there. Society doesn't see that part. They just see, oh my God, Adam's making 1,000 times more than an employee, and that's not fair. Well, yes and no. If the employee's being paid a fair wage, into conversation, but the employee has not earned or worked to get to that point. But we've got a lot of people in our society right now that are working overtime to knock all those walls down. They want to complain. I mean, some of them, they become so proficient at it, they create their own associations or unions of, hey, let's all bitch for a living instead of get off our butt and work.com.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to do that for sure. Or complain about somebody. Hey, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Can you tell us about Changeformational? Is that correct?
Yep.
Changeformational?
So during COVID, I started recognizing that for the most part, every one of my businesses that are my clients were thriving. If I work with the military, those generals and command sergeant majors, their piece of the military business pie was thriving. If I look at associations and nonprofits I was working with, they were thriving. So I just gave you 4 different market segmentations. All were thriving during COVID, where the norm in lots of that space, everyone was either flatlined and working hard to survive, or they were imploding. What I started recognizing is that change is $1 billion industry. So I'm never going to win this one. But what I realized is that you got change and
Is
change.
$1 billion industry is what you said.
Oh, it's $1 billion. Right? Yeah. Change agents, Lean Six Sigma, change advocates, talking about change. All these hokey speakers that get on stage and look pretty and talk about how to deal with change in themselves. They've never had to do anything in life, but they sound prettier than me, evidently. So they're on those stages. And here's what I realized. The more you talk about change, you will never win. You can't win because change means someone else is writing the rules. You went to bed last night. You got up this morning. You go, holy crap, there's some change in the marketplace. So change means someone else has rewritten the rules. And so how do you most effectively, again, you can be nimble, you can be agile, all those buzzwords. But what it tells you is how do you become a very healthy survivor? So when I recognize, and that's why I wrote the book Changeformational, is it. Change is happening endlessly. So if you pay attention, change is always happening around you. What you recognize with successful business professionals, women, men, old, young, short, fat, skinny, tall, I don't care. The ones that are thriving are recognizing you no longer have to wait for a one-time a year major transformation in your business or life. Every day there's a change happening around you. And if you can recognize the change, leverage the change, and use that as the window to drive through transformation, thus you're being changeformational. Changeformational is that you take the changes that are dictated in front of you. You flip them on their head by rewriting the rules yourself now about becoming transformational, and away you go. Take any business, whatever business you're in, you have a competitor. The business you're in there in Salt Lake City is recording this, you have major competitors, both on the food side of your business and on the drink side of your business. So if you want to be successful, you have to say, how do I look at my space where I am in town? How do I leverage and market that to my nearby community? How do I give someone a reason to come here for a different experience than they can get over there? And then that's how you start to leverage this differently. You deal with the changes, but you become transformational. What I recognized during COVID was that COVID became the entire world's reboot. I call it the great global reboot. Everyone had the opportunity to do whatever they wanted in 2021, 22, because everyone could use the same excuse for why something would or would not work. And those
bills weren't being paid, whatever. You were like, oh, COVID. Even electric bill, they dragged it out. I remember because I got that. I got my electric bill to $4,000, and I paid it down. That's why I'm able to say it.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything. So changeformational is about leveraging change.
And my parents passed away too, so there's a few things going on, but it was a nice break from life. But what I saw after that, things came down a lot harder than they were before, or at least it felt that way because we got a break, we got money in the mail, all that.
Yeah, my younger brother's a truck driver. The first vacation he had in over a decade was when he got, in essence, that check, during COVID from the last president that everyone said only cares about the filthy rich. Well, it's interesting because I know more people that are not filthy rich that got breaks during that last administration, and their life cycle and style went up huge. So again, those are factoids versus the rhetoric that's out there. But to your point, so COVID created lots of change that people that were smart leveraged it and turned it into transformations. So what might have taken days, weeks, months, or years, if we were in 2019 looking into the future, people were able to do in 6 months to 1 year because of COVID. So if I jump forward to today, the point of Changeformational is whenever there's a change opportunity, don't just look at change and say, how do we adjust ourselves to be able to survive or to be successful? How do you leverage any change around you with vendors, with suppliers, with neighbors, with streets, with construction, with businesses? I mean, anything. And how do you transform yourself to be way at the front of the pack? So change, you survive. Transformation, you'll thrive. And when you're changeformational, you win.
Well, how would you say, because all that sounds very structural to me, and that's good, but how do you get your butt off the couch? Like how, in just a figurative way, how do you get motivated? Or how, like for me sometimes, we were talking about this earlier, is being more pragmatic. Sometimes that fragmentation stops me. I'm like, why? Why do all this?
Good question. So let's back into that several ways. I think one way to motivate people off the couch is whoever owns that couch and owns that house, hold them accountable. If you don't do it, you're going to be sitting in the curb because I'm going to kick your butt out of it. So there's some tough love. That will motivate some. Second, again, quit giving people breaks. If someone's unemployed and you're going to give them unemployment, you should, in essence, tie to that a way to help them to build their self-esteem. If I'm going to give you some money to pay some bills temporarily, or if I'm going to give you, lodging to live in temporarily, there has to be a give and take, skin in the game. Again, you keep the grounds clean and policed. You, in essence, can go back to a cooperative, get to school or something, get a trade, get a degree, get a job. I mean, hold people accountable. Third way, so that's 1 and 2. Those are your tough love. Let the pendulum go from one extreme to the other. No one wants to talk about that extreme. But again, it comes back to what is your purpose? I mean, we just spent the last 10 years. There's been, speeches and authors and subject matter experts and books written on, getting to why and what is your purpose and having and being intentionality in what you're doing. So I would back up and say, okay, so if we want to take this from a nicer standpoint, what the hell is your purpose? What drives you? What's important to you? What do you want to be known for? So once you have clarity of your purpose, that's a big driver to get people off their butt sometimes. My purpose is that, I like to wear some nice clothes, eat some nice food, and have a nice car and have a nice house, and then have some money left over. I can help other people and to be able to grow other people's mind share so they can see if they can be bigger than who they were yesterday. Well, if that's a half a dozen just off the top of my head drivers, that motivates me to get out of bed, every day. If you love what you're doing. I mean, maybe the last answer is get back in touch with your child. Any child loves what's going on in their life right now, today, this minute. Going to bed tonight's very difficult. When a child knows that there's something tomorrow fun I get to go do, going to bed is difficult. And getting up is a piece of cake. They don't need an alarm clock. They'll always be up ahead of time. And so sometimes I think as an adult, get back in touch with the things that are fun, that drives you, that has purpose.
And is that okay? Is that allowed as an adult?
Absolutely. Richard Branson, he's written for my magazine many times. We've done 3 books together. He's started from 0 to $1 billion status, 8 businesses in his lifetime that each one had no connection to the previous company. If you follow Richard Branson on LinkedIn, and everyone should, he's always having fun. Yeah.
That's crazy. You know his story probably better than I do. Can you share it really quick?
Well, he was right. He and his sister raised by a single mom. The mom, in essence, back to Triangle of Excellence, knew what sort of knowledge and skill the kids had. She always was growing the knowledge aptitude side. She was always encouraging them to apply and learn and do things. There's your application. She was always supportive of them. There's your attitude. So, they were driven at an early age to be the best they can be. And so, again, what excited him? So originally it was music. So in essence, from that, he had a publication, a magazine. And he led, kind of the whole music industry through that publication for years. He sold that, ton of money. That was his baby, but he knew to go on to his next dream, he had to let go of that one. So he sold it, made a ton of money, pushed it away. That took him to, Virgin, Entertainment in terms of records and music. And then that one took him to the next business, the next business, the next business. Now he's in aviation. He's in hotels. He's in cruise ships. He's in, jets. He's in telephones. He's in everything.
Spaceships.
You got it.
Yep. One thing I remember is that he was selling records out of the trunk of his car.
Absolutely. There's your Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen, Chicken Soup for the Soul book, that became a huge cottage industry in the 80s and 90s. Same thing. They were selling those books out of the trunk of their car. They would do any radio and TV show 24/7 anywhere in the country. For years they pedaled and pushed and drove themselves to get to where they are. So yeah, they're an overnight success of multi-billionaires. It only took them 20 years to get there. Right there in your own hometown. You're in Salt Lake City area, and you've got the 2 cousins that started Crumble Cookies, Crumble brand, and now they've got in essence multiple food lines along that area. And I did an interview with them, and they were in my magazine a couple issues back. Same thing.
Nice.
It's about being driven and having a purpose.
Nice. We're going to close up the show here in a few minutes, but one thing, if you could say a little piece about, I was thinking about what keeps people away is how to deal with rejection, because in a lot of that success, you get rejected a lot.
Absolutely.
Turned down, all the different ways you could say it.
Abundance mentality will help you to override being burned out and pushed down really fast. I mean, for example, I speak at conventions all over the world. I don't do a lot of the stages. I got some friends that's all they want is they want to do the same message, different stage every day. Way too much work. And I've got clients, I come in, I work with them for a year at a time on leadership and revenue generation. Most of my clients, retraction. Every one of my clients, they seek me out to continue the relationship into years 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So just using that as an example, so that data is important. So if there's roughly 7,000 paid speaking engagements in America every day for a subject matter expert like you, myself, or someone else to walk out on stage and do a keynote or a training program. Well, if I only want one a day, that means there's 6,999 left over for someone else. That's how you override pessimism, have an abundance mentality. If you believe in your purpose, if you believe that you have unique DNA, if you believe you have your very unique intellectual properties that no one else really can compete with you head to head on, then again, it's a global market space, is what also COVID helped the whole world to see. It's a global market space. If you have a product that, again, think about Walmart and Costco. Those are two huge businesses before COVID that almost went out of business during COVID. And now if you source any product on Amazon to have delivered to your house, it's not unusual when the box shows up, it might have Costco printed on the side of it or Walmart on the side of it, because those two companies realize that they have to look at the distribution channels differently today than they did before COVID. So everything's up for marketability. So again, it's very easy to get down. Yes. People are going to say no. Yes. I get no a ton. Yes.
You get no?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of people out there I run into. It's scary there, Adam. A lot of people prefer mediocrity because they're in a job that will protect them to be mediocre. And some people have realized, you know what? Being mediocre is okay because I can make a pretty good living. And then when I'm done, I've got a multi-million-dollar retirement package for the rest of my life and a little bit of money every month for the next 30 years. Yeah, there's a lot of people that have drank the Kool-Aid and fallen in love with mediocre. And that's just I don't like that.
It's safe.
It's safe. Yep.
Well, thanks for being on the show, Jeffrey. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And look forward to having you on again. Really appreciate it. Our next show right now is on the 23rd with Grant Miller. He's a public defender in Utah, and he's running for the Utah State House in District 24. He'll be here live in person at 9th Street Coffee and Donuts on the ULTRAPERFORM Show. Thank you very much for watching and listening to the ULTRAPERFORM Show. You could find us anywhere. Just Google the ULTRAPERFORM Show and choose your venue you'd like to listen to. Thank you very much. See ya.